What up, y'all? DCFAYGOGUY. Today, we have ourselves a very, very fun video that we are going to be doing. We are ranking all of ICP's albums from best to worst. This is something that people have been talking about in my Discord server for some time. A couple months ago, I seen on Reddit where somebody had posted their own little ranking, and then somebody else did another one where they did all of the psychopathic albums. And I saved both of them. I actually still have them open in my Safari on my phone. I was like, yo, I want to do this eventually. This was pre-camp. Just never got around to it. You know, camp kind of had me focused on that and everything like that. And it kind of ended up hitting the back burner for me. Until recently, the homie Ronebone from Beneath the Dirt kind of made a resurgence. And he's been doing these tier lists. I also seen that Mike Sears from Jug Talk was also doing these. And I actually commented on Beneath the Dirt's ranking of the ICP, and I said, yo, you and Mike Sears are gonna make me fuck around and do this. And he said, bet you won't. And I was like, all right, challenge accepted. Little did Ron know, I've been planning to do this. It was just finding the right time to sit down and do it. And actually, Ron really helped with that, because he also made a tier list, and that's the one I'm using. He linked it in the description of his video. I'm going to link it in the description of this video for any other content creators that want to do their own ranking, or people who just want to do it and share it on Instagram or Reddit or wherever you do your social media sharing at. So let's jump into this. Now, when I went into this, I decided I'm not doing it like Roan did. Roan did it completely randomized, and when I first pulled this up, it was randomized. So I put everything in order. I feel like that's the best way to go through this and do this. One thing from his that I am going to copy and keep going is he kind of ranked everything. When he put it in a tier and he moved something else in the tier, he actually put them in row by what he thought was better. That way it was truly like a great to worse. So I'm going to do that as well here. I did a Joker card ranking years ago. I think it was right around the time that Fearless Fred Fury dropped, maybe a little bit after Fearless Fred Fury dropped. Might have been 2020. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've done it, but I knew in the back of my head that someday I was going to have to redo it. And this feels like a really good time to do it. We're doing all of the ICP albums, and I think that that is a absolutely wonderful and great video. So let's jump the fuck into this. My goal is to not edit this at all. When I've been doing the What's Happening Now episodes, some of the resolution has been dropped. My editor, for whatever reason, does not like super long videos. This is going to be super long. I actually almost debated doing this thing live, but I felt like the chat was going to be distracting, and so ultimately I was like, nah, let's not do it live. Let's record this. So I'm going to do my best to not have to edit this. So any foobars that I make, or just sheer train of thought lost, it's all staying in here. So you guys are getting 100% edited me. And I feel like I don't do those very often. So let's jump the fuck into this and stop rambling, because time is of the essence. First off, basement cuts. Now, I can tell you as of today, which is July 20th, 2024, I have never listened to basement cuts. Never really had the desire, never really had the access to it. I might have once or twice, but knowing that this was essentially their demo, this was them recording on a karaoke machine, I pretty much told myself that it's going to be some very amateur stuff. So I've just never checked it out, ever. And I think because of that, and I think because it was like their first attempt at recording, obviously they had the Party at the Top of the Hill, the JJ Boys, where they recorded with one boombox and another boombox, so they stuck their head between. I mean, that technically is their first recording. Violent J would then meet up with D Lyrical and do Intelligence and Violence on a karaoke machine. But I think Basement Cuts was like their first officially recorded stuff. So I think going based off that, being that it was their first, the D really feels fair to me. And honestly, going into this, I think that's probably going to be the only thing in the D tier. I have said it time and time again. ICP has never really put out an album that I didn't like. They've never really put out an album that I was disappointed with. So, continuing on to Dog Beats, their first studio album, their first professional album. This was when they were still doing gangster rap because, you know, NWA was out. That was the thing that a lot of people were turning to and doing at the time. And I think ICP's attempt at it was very well done. One of the best songs on that EP, one of my favorite songs on that EP, is Life at Risk. It's so great. It's so soulful. It's got that sample from The Wiz, and if you know what that is, then shout outs to you. If you don't know what that is, go research. They sample a song from The Wiz, and it's absolutely wonderful. It's a wonderful beat, and honestly, I feel like because the Wizard of the Hood, or I think they were calling it Wizard of the Ghetto on that one, it was a song that they ended up adding onto Carnival of Carnage, and I think Life at Risk would have been a really good one too, just because of the theme of Carnival of Carnage. So I am going to slap Dog Beats into C because, again, they were still trying to figure out their sound, I think. They were still very, very new, still very, very, fresh into doing music. And it really shows that you can tell, like, this is kind of like late 80s, early 90s, with a little bit of that gangster rap in there, A really solid effort from them. Probably the first controversial ranking of the entire video is Carnival of Carnage. I've been on record before saying that it is my least favorite Joker card out of all of them. I still stand by that today. They were making the shift from gangster rap into what would essentially become their sound, but in Carnival of Carnage, it's still very prominent that they're trying to figure that out. A lot of elements still, I think, of the gangster rap was still there. To me, listening to Dog Beats and listening to Carnival of Carnage, they have still very similar sounds. I think they were still trying to figure out that sound. Because of that, I am going to rank it in the C rank, but I am going to put it above Dog Beats because they were starting to head in the right direction. And they really started to nail it down, I think, with Beverly Kills. Beverly Kills, absolutely great. You really start to get into the wicked shit with 17 Dead, with Beverly Kills. It's very cartoony. It's very carnival-y. This is where they really started to nail that sound down a little bit. And I think because of that, for me, for a lot of people I know, Beverly Kills is like their favorite Sideshow EP. And I am super torn on that, because I love Beverly Kills, and I love Terror Will, and I love Tunnel of Love. It's really hard to rank one above the other. Absolutely great. Wonderful fucking Sideshow EP. That motherfucker is in the A tier. Absolutely. So moving right along to Ringmaster. This is where they are, again, bouncing off of Beverly Kills. This to me, they were really starting to nail down that sound. It was getting more cartoony with songs like Who Asked You, with Get Off Me Dog, with Wagon Wagon, My Fun House. They were really starting to get more cartoony. They started to really sample gong here, and that to me was what made it such a wonderful masterpiece of like just all those crazy sounds that you listen to. Say, oh shit, samples of Mr. Rogers, samples of fucking Tarzan in Southwest Song. No, not Southwest Song. It was it Murder Go Round? That sample? Was that in Murder Go Round? Fuck, it's been a minute since I've listened to Ringmaster. It's honestly been a minute since I've listened to a lot of ICP. But when I listen to ICP, it's like there, I'm singing along. I absolutely love it. Ringmaster, without a doubt, is S tier. This is them starting to get that sound down. This is, to me, they were starting to really hit the road of wicked shit. And they kept it going with the Terror Wheel. This one is really starting to, dip into some deeper themes with the Smog, with Amy's in the Attic. Dead Body Man is probably their first full-fledged, well, I wouldn't say their first, but Dead Body Man, iconic wicked shit song. This motherfucker is in A tier, and again, I don't know where I would rank it. I don't know if I would rank it higher than Beverly Kills or not, just because Beverly Kills is a fun listen. It's a very, when the fucking first song, the first title song, Beverly Kills start, dun 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 dun, but stop the bus, violent chick on barrel to your face, play it, 'cause my mind is golden. Oh, yeah, that right there starts to get very sing-alongy to me. Absolutely great. So I think I will rank Terror Will a little bit lower than Beverly Kills, but they're like neck and neck. Absolutely, for sure. Now, on this list, when I saw Roan's list and he had Carnival Christmas on there, I didn't really know how I wanted to rank this because I don't really listen to this version. I pretty much listen to Holiday Heat, which is a collection of Christmas songs from everybody on Psychopathic Records from 2010 before. That to me is an absolutely great record. Considering Carnival Christmas essentially exists on Holiday Heat, and come Christmas time, that's kind of my way of getting in the holiday spirit, listening to Santa's a Fat Bitch and Red Christmas. I think it's absolutely some great stuff. I would slap it up in the A tier because it's ICP. Again, they were really starting to nail down that sound of being cartoony, being comic booky, absolutely great, and just a fun record for Christmas time. So I'm going to pop that in the A tier, and I'm going to put it lower than Beverly Kills and Terror Will just because it is more on the funner side. It's not as much on the serious side. So I think this is just a fun little EP that they put together and threw out. Jumping into Riddle Box, which is, it's really hard for me to say if this is my favorite Joker's card of all time. Sometimes I flip-flop back and forth between Riddle Box and Great Milenko. Both are amazing. By the time Riddle Box came around, they absolutely hit it in. They had it driven in. They knew their sound. And Riddle Box is it perfected, in my opinion. I think by the time they got to Riddle Box, they knew the sound that they wanted to go with. Cartoon, serial killing clowns, and they had it. Riddle Box is an absolute showcase of that. So many great fucking songs on there. The very first ICP song I ever heard was on Riddle Box. It was Toy Box. If you don't know the story, I've done videos. Basically, some neighbors played it for my sister and my brother. They fell in love with it. This was like 97, 98, I think it was. I was still a little kid, so like it didn't really appeal to me, but I do remember the skit at the end of Toy Box, and my sister and that one neighbor girl were just joking around and like doing the whole fuck thing, and I was like, what are you guys saying? And they were able to reenact the skit with me because they were like, fuck, and I'm like, what does that mean? And they're like, fuck, they got to play me with it. So that was my first introduction, if you will, into ICP. So Riddle Box, absolutely amazing. Jumping into Tunnel of Love. Again, another Sideshow EP, and it was the last one for a long time. Tunnel of Love is a fun little listen. This is where I struggle just a little bit. Would I rank it higher than Beverly Kills and Terror Will? Or would I put it kind of in the middle? Or would I rank it lower than them? I think it's great. Songs like Prom Queen, songs like Ninja, Cotton Candy, absolutely fun. Super Ball, super fun. It's a super fun record. And I think because of that, I will rank it higher than Terror Will, but I'm so torn on Beverly Kills. Like, do I think that Beverly Kills is funner than Tunnel of Love? Or do I think Tunnel of Love is funner than Beverly Kills? Yeah, I think I'm going to rank it higher than Beverly Kills. I think I'm going to put it at the very top of the A tier for now. We'll see as we go along if other things bump it down. It's just a really fun record. My Kind of Bitch is great. My Kind of Bitch has a hole in her neck and she has to talk like this. I love you. Classic shit. So yeah, I'm confident putting it in the A tier. Great Milenko. Again, I go back and forth between saying this is my favorite Joker card and saying that Riddle Box is. One of the reasons why I have always given it to Great Milenko is because of Pass Me By. Pass Me By is the first song I fell in love with by ICP. Again, introduced into my world because of my sister in 97, 98, but it wasn't until 2002 that I would start listening because I was in her room playing Game Boy. Pass Me By comes on, the piano catches my attention because at the time Linkin Park's In the End was out and I loved that song and it just caught my attention and I really listened to it and I really fell in love with it and I dove in from there. At that time, I gravitated a lot more to songs on Riddle Box than Great Milenko, and this is why it's always a conflict in my head of which one I like better. But I always give it to Great Milenko just because of Pass Me By being on there. My sister all the time used to listen to Riddle Box. That was, and I probably is to this day. I haven't really talked to her about this in a long time. She's not a juggalette or anything like that, but she still on occasion listens to ICP. And it's usually stuff like Great Milenko, Jekal Brothers, and Riddle that she's listening to. And for the longest time, Riddle was her favorite. So that was the one she would always listen to the most. And there was just songs on Riddle that never really clicked for me until that one specific moment at that right specific time that I fell in love with ICP. So I have to give it to Great Milenko. Now that gets us into the first Forgotten Freshness. Not technically, there was a Forgotten Freshness that was put out before this, but the first nationwide release of Forgotten Freshness Volume 1 and 2. And this to me it's all scrap songs from the Joker cards, and everything about them is S tier. Everything about this Forgotten Freshness is S tier. It's just simply songs that for whatever reason they didn't fit, or maybe they had to take them off because of time constraints. You know, it was said in Behind the Paint that they actually went over the time limit they were given for Riddlebox. It was supposed to be a 60-minute album, and they ended up making it 62. You know, songs like Fat Sweaty Betty were supposed to be on there. I believe Willy Bubba was meant for Riddlebox. I Didn't Mean to Kill Him was meant for Riddlebox, and I Didn't Mean to Kill Him is absolutely great. I actually think they could have put that on there and maybe left off the Joker's Wild, because I Didn't Mean to Kill Him more than Joker's Wild, and that's a fun song too. But I do think, or even the little skit, the interview skit that they had, they could have completely taken that out, but that wouldn't have really helped the time constraint. But yeah, absolutely S tier shit on Forgotten Freshness Volume 1 and 2. That brings us to the amazing Jekal Brothers. Now, prior to listening and hearing Pass Me By and falling in love with ICP, I did hear Fuck the World. My sister had gotten a copy from one of her friends, or they knew a friend that had it. It was all scratched up. But they had a copy of Amazing Jekal Brothers that they gave to her. And at this time, I'm like 11, 12 years old. I'm starting to hit that preteen stage where cussing is fun. So Fuck the World was a song that I did hear and I used to love to sing. But it was never really like I love this song, let's keep listening to it. It was just simply because it said the word fuck so many times that I liked it. Jekal Brothers to me is absolutely great. They see mainstream success with it. And, you know, they got to have Snoop Dogg on. They had ODB on there. Originally were supposed to have Ice-T on there with Dead End. That didn't end up working out. I think Jekal Brothers is S tier, absolutely. I would probably rank it... And this is tough because, man, when I first started listening to ICP, when I got to Jekal Brothers, it was in my fucking Walkman every day when I went to school. I would not rank it higher than Riddlebox or Great Milenko, just because I think that they were absolutely in their sound and they were perfecting it. Jekal Brothers started to get a little bit more experimental with some of the rock riffs and stuff like that, which doesn't bother me one bit, but probably I think I would confidently rank it higher than Ringmaster, just because, again, at this point they had their sound and then they just experimented a little bit, you know. And they had songs like Play With Me on there, absolutely great. Terrible's on there. I Want My Shit is on there. Fucking Mad Professor is on there. Fuck the World is on there. Assassins is on there, and that's an iconic track that they perform at their shows. Usually now, whenever I listen to Assassins, I'm always like pretend throwing a bottle of Faygo because they do it at the show. So I would confidently put Jekal Brothers higher than Ringmaster. Jumping into Bizaar. These were the two albums that I didn't know of their existence until like the fall of 2002, right around the time that the Wraith was going to drop. I was, you know, these four Joker cards right here were what I was listening to. And then, you know, we found Bizaar. Absolutely great stuff. This is non-Joker card stuff. It's absolutely great. If I remember correctly, this was their way of trying to get out of their record deal with Island. They just did a double album so that way they could have the sixth drop independently, if I'm remembering that correctly. Let's see. The question marks, that's the one that has Please Don't Hate Me. And I really love that. I think Please Don't Hate Me, in my opinion, is the greatest diss song ever, because it's a diss song without directly being a diss song. The thing about diss songs that I hate is a lot of diss songs are directly talking about a specific person. So for listenability, they're kind of like, Like Slim Anus and Nothing But a Bitch Thing, I don't really listen to those very often just because they're directly about Eminem. However, please don't hate me. It's a fun little song about sleeping with your best friend's mom. And at the end, they throw in that Peace Eminem that turns it into a diss song. So it was a super sneak in there and fucking just jab him in the jaw. It was absolutely great. It's fun to sing along to. I absolutely love it. So I would definitely rank the question marks higher than the eyeballs, which is tough because Crystal Ball is absolutely great. To me, it's an unofficial Dark Lotus song. It's wonderful. It's great. I think that I comfortably would throw both Bizarres up here into S tier. Again, they're non-Joker cards, but they're done so well. I don't know. I feel like that's too gracious. They're just... Am I not being gracious enough, though, by not putting them in S tier? Because they're pretty fucking good. Like, they're really fucking good. I think I want to put them in S tier. And the reason I'm going to do that, and I can't really talk about it too much right here because on the 5 Quintessential series that I'm doing, if you're following that series at all, there is one coming up with top verses. And I'm spoiling it because my top verses is going to have a song from Bizaar, one of the Bizarres. And it was my moment of I'm a juggalo. I didn't know it was called Juggalo until 2007, but it was my moment of I fucking love these guys. This music fucking... I wouldn't say it saved me because I wasn't suicidal, but it was that moment of like, this is the shit I'm going to listen to until I die. It was that moment for me. But we will talk about that a little bit more on the top 5 verses for the 5 Quintessentials. But I am comfortably going to put both Bizarres in S tier. I'm confident doing that now. Forgotten Freshness Volume 3. This one, there's a lot of really good songs on Forgotten Freshness Volume 3. Posse on Werner. You got the Mom song is on there. They put Nothing But a Bitch Thing on here. They had fucking Just Another Crazy Click, which was kind of the first ever unofficial Killjoy Club. And I maintain that Killjoy Club was always meant to be ICP twisted in 3-6 Mafia. It didn't work out that way. We ended up with just the Mafia 6 and ICP. But I feel like the quintessential version of the Killjoy Club was always going to have Twisted in it just because of Nothing But a Bitch Thing or Just Another Crazy Click and I Shot a Hater, which was on the Volume 4 of DJ Clay's Let 'Em Bleed mixtape. Both absolutely great songs. So I feel like I would comfortably put this in A tier. And I'm going to put it above Carnival Christmas, but below the first 3 Sideshow EPs. I'm confident putting it there. A lot of great gems on there. Fucking Take Me Home is great. Yeah, it's a great Forgotten Freshness for sure. The Wraith Shangri-La, without a doubt, it's going S tier. Would I rank it higher than Bizaar? Like, I feel like I have to. I mean, it's the fucking Wraith, right? I feel like I would rank it actually higher than Forgotten Freshness as well, which again is all Riddle Box and Great Milenko leftovers and Ringmaster leftovers. So yeah, I think I would confidently put it there. It was the finale for the 6 Joker cards. I was never really fazed by Thy Unveiling. I grew up with a mom who... She was not really Christian. She was baptized Mormon and she had us baptized Mormon, but she just always kind of believed in Jesus and she absolutely loves Thy Unveiling simply because of the Carnival is God message at the end. So it never really fazed me because my mom kind of raised me to feel obligated to believe in God, even though as I grew up and developed, I really started to question things. So it never really fazed me like that. But there are some very wonderful songs on there, some very great, powerful songs as well, like The Wraith is absolutely fucking great. The chorus, Death is always at a shitty time. Don't bother trying to run and hide. Take his hand, cross to the other side. Step to the other side. That fucking chorus. And honestly, I'm just going to say this, and I feel like if enough people out there were aware of this, the album, to me, would end perfectly right there. You don't even have to have thy unveiling in there. I think at this point we all know the carnival is God. As grandioso as that ending is on thy unveiling, I confidently think that if the wraith ended with death is nowhere to run, you know, you have the fucking chorus in the background, you have Jay, nowhere to hide, nothing to fear, step to the other side, and then it just kind of fades out into nothing. That to me would still be a perfect ending for the Wraith Shangri-La. And I'm curious to try that now. I'm curious to actually take and put a playlist and make a playlist where it just ends after the Wraith instead of going into Thy Unveiling. As great and epic as Thy Unveiling is, maybe even just put that on the end of Hell's Pit. Which, jumping into Hell's Pit. Hell's Pit, I've seen so many mixed things about Hell's Pit. And I'm going to tell you this, brother. I rank Hell's Pit higher than Shangri-La. The thing about Hell's Pit, and I've debated making videos about it, I feel like conversations I've had in my head with so many people. The homie Bartleboss, shout out to Bartleboss. I don't know at this point if it's full-fledged just him trying to stick to a kayfabe and just joke that Hell's Pit is trash. I truly believe Hell's Pit is a masterpiece. Hot take. I know a lot of people don't think that, but Hell's Pit is so geniusly put together because you have Walk Into the Darkness, you have Suicide Hotline, you go into CPKs, you go into, I think it goes from there into Every Day I Die. There's so many themes of just like people living in hell. So like Suicide Hotline to me is someone who's alive, but they're in their own like living hell. They're dealing with some kind of depression, and that is like a living hell. There's so many like great themes within that album. You get towards the end and it starts to get it starts to get skippable. Attack of the Bassheads or Basshead Attack, I think is how it's actually phrased. That one's probably a skipper. Manic Depressed, I think it's Manic Depressive. Manic Depression? Fuck, I can't even think of the name of the song. I don't like that song. I actually skipped that song. And, you could almost then argue that, like, Real Underground Baby is just kind of a fun little chop slide style, like, song to just kind of vibe out to kind of close out the 6 Joker cards. But the Wraith Hell's Pit, to me, there's so many powerful themes in there. Truly alone. So alone that, like, he just like goes into a fucking super K, goes to the back. And one thing about that song that I've never really thought about is when he goes in, is he intending to do what he does, or does just in that moment does he just finally snap, and that's just where he happened to be when he finally has his fucking snap. You know what I mean? Absolutely great songs on Hell's Pit. Honestly, I know I ranked it higher than Shangri-La, but Shangri-La, I really only ever skip Cotton Candy and Popsicles. And that's only every so often. I don't always skip Cotton Candy and Popsicles. But with Hell's Pit, with me, there are times I'll skip Basshead Attack. Every time that I skip Manic Depressive. And there's a lot of times I don't listen to I just said it, Real Underground Baby. So I can't say that I listen to Hell's Pit front to back. It's just for me, and this is the hard part about ranking this shit, right? Because, like, at what point do you take the songs on the actual album and rank them higher than the songs on another album? There was this conversation that was had in the UPC Discord server about the Dark Lotus albums, and I said Opaque Brotherhood, to me, is the best Dark Lotus album. And a lot of people were kind of pointing out things about Tales from Lotus Pod, that the highest highs on Tales are better than, like, the highest highs on Opaque. And my thought process is yes, I agree. Like, Headache is my favorite Dark Lotus song. So some of the highs on Tales hit higher than Opaque Brotherhood. But Opaque Brotherhood has more highs on it, to me, than Tales does. And that's why I give it to that. So, at that point, do I say that there are more higher highs on Hell's Pit than Shangri-La that I could rank it higher? That's what's difficult about this, because when it comes to ranking this shit, it comes to what gives you just a nostalgic feeling versus saying, oh, this is really good quality. Because a lot of people just shit all over the second Joker cards. I think the second Joker cards are great. I feel like a lot of them, if you really compare them quality to quality, may be better than some of the first set. Hot take, I know, but let's get realistic here. There are some albums from the second set that are actually really, really great when compared. But, you know, a lot of us have that nostalgia for the first set. And I'm going off on an absolute motherfucking tangent. Let's get back on this. But you know what I mean? That's the difficulty about doing some of these rankings. And for me, that's kind of where I'm at, is like, you know, you almost have to like listen to the album and then come back and do your ranking, you know? And that's where it's tough, because, you know, there's so much music that ICP has put out. There's no way you could listen to them all and do it. The Calm. The Calm, a lot of people hate this album. I don't really hate it. You know, this is the first album they dropped after the 6 was over with, and I think that they really had no direction. The story they set up with The Calm was really, really great. I absolutely love where they were going with it, and I don't know if they just decided to abandon the Storm idea and just go with the roller coaster, or if the roller coaster was the plan all along. The roller coaster fits the theme of the Dark Carnival, so that's why I've always kind of overlooked it. But there always was this level of disappointment for me, and I know a lot of people say this as well. There was a level of disappointment when the Tempest came out and it wasn't really a storm. They did have a song that opened, The Sky is Falling, very, very storm theme heavy, but then you go right into Ride the Tempest. So they did tie the two together, but then it was like, oh, psych, this is actually a roller coaster. So I mean, it fits the theme, so I'm off on a tangent once again. But The Calm, I think, is actually a really solid effort. I would rank it lower, I think, than Carnival of Carnage. To me, Carnival and The Calm and Bang Pow Boom, which we'll get to that very, very soon, they're very much experimental in the fact of they weren't really sure where they were going to go with it, if that makes sense. The Calm was the first. They were off the track. The album ends with it. They didn't really have a theme or direction that they were going to go. But I think it's a really solid effort from them. The only song that I skip on there is Deadbeat Moms. I just don't care for it. The beat, poo-poo. And at that time, you know, I was just learning about Isham when that came out, 2006, 2007. 2007 was when I got behind the paint and read it and learned about Twisted, Dark Lotus, and the expanded Juggalo universe. So going in and really kind of learning about Isham, and, you know, at that particular time, ICP and Isham were not cool with each other. And here I am, full-fledged, 19 years old in 2007. I was 19 years old. Fucking, like, full-fledged, proud Juggalo. Like, it was, you know, fuck Isham. You know what I mean? I had that mentality, and that mentality never really went away. Like, I get it that they're cool with him and whatever, and I get it that he was the godfather of the wicked shit, but it's like, dude, sit down. You may be the pioneer that started this. These guys these guys perfected it. So if anything, he should be on their nuts, because Jay always gives him praise. But it's just not the case. I think it was the homies on Deck One Delt that said that Isham is kind of like the Kanye West of the underground, and I'm like, yo, that fucking nails it down perfectly. So, yeah, I absolutely think The Calm is a fine spot for C. I would rank it lower than Carnival of Carnage, but I would rank it higher than Dog Beats, I think, because, you know, by that time, they could rap. So, Forgotten Freshness, Volume 4. I'm going to throw it down here in the C tier as well, and I'm going to throw it down lower than The Calm. The People is an absolutely amazing song. Nobody Move is a great song. Yours Begins Tonight is great. There's very skippable songs on here, and it's definitely a album jumper that I go to when I listen to it. I skip a lot of songs that are on it. Bodies Fly, I can see why they took that off. Hell's Pit did not fit at all, I think. So it's just that, to me, is where the Forgotten Freshness has started to dip just a little bit and not be as good as they used to be. Jumping into the Tempest, I would rank this motherfucker right there, A tier, lower than Terror Wheel, but higher than Forgotten Freshness 3, higher than Carnival of Christmas. The Tempest was like their first quote-unquote rap album. I mean, I guess Bizaar was. But they didn't have a theme, and it was just them rapping, and I think everything on here was great. Now, again, like I said, in 2007, this is when I had read Behind the Paint, really explored the expanded Juggalo universe. The Tempest was really kind of, I had all the resources I needed. I had my first job, I had access to internet. So when this album was coming out, I knew about it. Whereas Hell's Pit, everything else before The Tempest, like, I didn't know they were coming out until after they were already out, and people were like, oh, hey, did you check out the new ICP? The Tempest was the first album from ICP I got to see drop. I got to see the promo for it. I got to hear the fucking sampler for it on W Fuck Off Radio. It was my first full-fledged introduction into a new album from ICP. And I loved it. And every juggalo I talked to hated it. And it was so heartbreaking because, you know, you go on the fucking internet and you're like, you go into forums. At that time, forums were a really big thing. And I'm like, yo, I love this new Tempest. And everyone I talked to fucking hates it. My brother and I found this juggalo in town that did not like it. He was talking to a juggalette that did not like it. And I loved it so much. You know, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't as good as the Joker cards, but I loved it. And it just was so heartbreaking that everyone thought it fucking sucked. So heartbreaking. Haunted Bumps is the shit. The Tower is the shit. News at 6 o'clock is the shit. If I Was a Serial Killer is the shit. There's so many great songs on there. Now, I will say this about The Tempest. It is the album that contains the one song that I will absolutely, and I guess Hell's Pit kind of has one too, but The Tempest has the one song that I will flat out tell you is their worst song, and that is Mexico City. I don't know what it is about that song I don't like. I don't know if it's just the slow-paced guitar strum or beat that they have, the slow tempo of the fucking song itself, or the chorus where you have Shaggy, Mexico City, City. It's so slow, and I don't know. It just bores me. I don't know what it is about it. I just don't like it. But other than that, The Tempest to me is fucking fire. And for so many years, people have shit on it. And I was so happy and excited when the homie Roan and Joker's Gallery dedicated a full fucking Beneath the Dirt show to giving that album love. Because I'm over here like, yo, I've been here since day one saying this album is the shit. It's about time motherfuckers start recognizing that. Because to me, it was great. So I'm absolutely excited to see more people turning around to The Tempest, because from day one I was like, this album is great. What the fuck is wrong with Juggalos? But I get it. You know, a lot of times you're comparing the new to the old, and that has stayed true to this fucking day. You compare it to the old. You compare it to the old. And I think on multiple occasions it's been said that, like, they don't want to do their old shit. Their old shit is there to go listen to. They want to keep doing new things. And I absolutely fucking agree with that. If you keep churning out the same old thing, and I'm experiencing that right now with Tech Nine. He's churning out so much of the same shit. It's like this all blends together. It's kind of a struggle I have with Ouija Mac. A lot of his albums sound the same to me, and it's just like, it's not different enough. And I know some people are experiencing that a little bit with Twisted, but I haven't really quite experienced that, and that's also why I would say Unlikely Prescription is actually pretty good. But let's not go on that tangent. Let's continue it right along with The Eye of the Storm, and I will confidently slap this, be the first one in B tier. Really great songs on here. If I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, I could have sworn at the time that they put this out that this was basically supposed to be like the rarities, the B-sides to The Tempest that just didn't fit the album. If I remember that correctly, you know, that's been what, 16, 17 years ago now? 2007 to 2014, 7 years ago, 17 years ago. Oh shit, 17 fucking years ago is when The Tempest and The Eye of the Storm came out. Damn, goddamn, it's a fucking time ago. But I could have sworn I remember seeing somewhere that Eye of the Storm was like B-side rarities that just did not fit The Tempest. Again, another solid little EP. I absolutely loved everything on it. Fucking Yellow Bus. I love Yellow Bus. There's some people that hate it because of the subject matter of the song. But there's some hidden Insane Clown philosophy in that song. And it's something that I will be talking about when I do finally do my Insane Clown philosophy series. It's kind of got a double entendre to it. You know what I mean? It's that message of just be carefree and don't care what other people think of you. Just live your life for you and be happy. Don't do it to please somebody else. And that song encapsulates that. The Madness is great. Fucking High Rise is great. Fucking Scatterbrain, yo, and I've talked about this in my review for Bloody Sunday. Scatterbrain on Eye of the Storm set such a fucking high bar that when I saw a song called Scatterbrain 2 on Bloody Sunday, I was like, okay, it's got to match this energy or it's whack. So when it came out, it didn't. It wasn't goofy and silly. It was just kind of, it made me feel like anxiety. I was like, it's not as good as the first one. So, yeah, Eye of the Storm, absolutely great. Bang Pow Boom, the return of the Dark Carnival, and I remember that was how it was advertised. And I remember seeing my cousin around the fall of 2009, and he told me that Bang Pow Boom was the first of a new set of Joker cards. And I completely dismissed him because he is a liar. My cousin was a notorious liar, so I completely shut him down. And then come to find out that what he said was true. I never apologized to him. I don't talk to him anymore, so it's no big deal. But I knew when this album was coming out that it was going to be good. It dropped September 1st of 2009, but I was in a situation where I didn't have a job. I didn't have money. I was living with my brother, got kicked out of my brother's, moved in with my sister, and then finally got some money to where I could buy Bang Pow Boom. And I didn't get it until December of 2009. So I had a little bit of a couple month delay on getting to hear it. And everywhere I looked online, people were talking about how much they loved Bang Pow Boom. It was coming out and they were like, oh, this album's great. This album's great. And I immediately connected Bang Pow Boom with the Tempest. Like I said, when the Tempest came out, nobody liked it, but I did. So when Bang Pow Boom comes out and everyone's saying, oh, this is great. The Dark Carnival's back. The fucking clowns are back. I'm like, okay, I can safely know this album's gonna be the shit. Fast forward a little bit, and like I said, I was basically homeless. In January of 2010, I basically did become homeless for like 2 days. I was back at my brother's again, but we couldn't stay there. So my mom ended up coming up from Georgia. We moved down to Georgia, and I lived there for about 6 months with her. So Bang Pow Boom is kind of tainted by that bad memory of feeling like I was homeless. And Juggalo Island specifically, the chorus, it's not the chorus, I think it was Shaggy's verse where he said, everybody can't be together with you gone. And that line hit me so deep because I had to pack up and fucking move away to Georgia, which I'd never lived down south, and my experience in Georgia was not great. I did not like living down there. So Bang Pow Boom unfortunately did get kind of tainted by that. So I don't listen to Bang Pow Boom too terribly often just because of that bad memory that it has. But I'm trying to rewrite that. Bang Pow Boom is absolutely amazing, and I would slap that motherfucker up in S tier without even questioning it. And I feel like I need to move me a little bit because I'm going to start blocking. I'm going to start blocking some things. Bang Pow Boom is absolutely amazing. Produced entirely by Mikey Clark in the studio with them, which... The Tempest was produced by Mikey Clark, but he didn't work with them in studio. They bought the beats from him and then made the songs. And Bang Pow Boom was literally the return of the Dark Carnival. Fucking back with Mikey Clark, became the first in a new set of Joker cards. The thing about Bang Pow Boom that I dislike is the theming of it and the story and the concept of it. And actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and bump this down. Probably, I'm going to bump it right there onto A tier. And I'm going to do it because of this. The theme and the concept of the album is messy, in my opinion. Because the intro, to me, sets up something completely different than the skits and the title track do. The album starts off with, every so often, the Dark Carnival begins to swell with the countless souls awaiting judgment. That right there was like, oh shit. The chorus goes off and it talks about this bang and this pow and this boom. You flip through the book and there's a neighborhood, a peaceful neighborhood, just like in Let's Go All the Way, and it just gets obliterated. There's fire and chaos everywhere. So the theme of the album, I think, was that. When you listen to the skits, it's, oh, come to Ash, Nevada, win big money prizes. You're a horrible person. We're going to blow you up. And to me, they just don't match. It just, to me, it's a flip on it. And I've made a video about it before. I'm going to talk about it in depth on the insane clown philosophy, but I don't think that that's the concept in my head for Bang Pow Boom. I just have deleted it from my mind that that's not it. To me, Bang Pow Boom is catastrophe. It's when people get in bad car accidents. Maybe your house blows up, the house catches on fire, something horrible happens in the world. And yes, some innocent people die, but that is because the fucking dark carnival is swelling with so much evil that needs to be judged, that these instances happen. They happen. And innocent people die as a result of it. But hey, one or two bad guys got too. That to me, that's the meaning. It's just like boom, chaos. Unfortunately, some innocent people died in the process, but hey, we got a couple bad guys, and now, you know, they've been judged and they're in the fucking afterlife where they need to be. Not, you know what I mean? Like, that to me is the concept for Bang Pow Boom, but when you listen to the album, it's just not there. And, you know, because of that, I drop it down to A tier. Otherwise, it's absolutely fucking wonderful. It's got some really good songs on there. Even Miracles. I love Miracles. And, you know, it's become a punchline for a lot of people. Let's keep this moving because we're getting close to an hour. Mighty Death Pop. Nah, don't even have to. Whoa, what's going on? That just glitched the fuck out. Don't even have to think about it. God damn it. Get up there. Is an S tier album. I would probably even rank it maybe behind Hell's Pit. I really, really liked Death Pop when this album came out. I listened to it on repeat. I still listen to it every so often as well. The concept is there. The fucking music is there. We got a bunch of extra goodies. I've still to this day never listened all the way through to the end of Freaky Tales. I'm still only at like 4 or 5 minutes into it. I just can't do it. I don't have the attention span for it. Mikey Clark's Extra Pop Emporium is great. Smothered, Covered, and Chunked is great. Did some great cover songs on there, including the Yo Gabba Gabba one, which I absolutely love. And I relate to it because, you know, in 2009 when I was living with my brother, I would watch my nephew a lot, and Yo Gabba Gabba was a show he would watch. So Hold Still was fun. And I still want to see a fucking concert set where they do that and everyone in the crowd hold still. That to me would still be an epic moment. So Mighty Death Pop absolutely is an S tier album to me. And I would put it up there next to Hell's Pit. Such a great fucking album. Again, this is where Forgotten Freshness really starts to dip off. I'm going to put this one in B tier just because of a lot of the songs that they have on there were songs that existed, but they didn't really have a home. They were songs on the internet. The Howard Stern song. They put Goblin on there as well, which in 2013, it was already released on the A World Upside Down mixtape that DJ Clay put out, which to me is his best mixtape out of all of them. It's absolutely great. Goblin is on there, and they ended up putting it on Forgotten Freshness Volume 3, which for me was a little bit of a head scratcher, but also it kind of made sense. But Forgotten Freshness Volume 5... Did I say 3? I feel like I've said 3 a few times now. Forgotten Freshness Volume 5, to me, was just a lot of songs that have existed for years, never had a home. They finally have a home, and here it is. To me, it wasn't something super amazing, but it was enough that I thought it was good. So I put it in the B tier, but I'll put it lower than Eye of the Storm. House of Wax. Now, if I am not mistaken, I could have sworn somewhere out there, and maybe Mushy Mustard can find this because he's like a fucking encyclopedia or expert at finding like lost information. I could have sworn at one point I remember that House of Wax was supposed to be a Sideshow EP to Mighty Death Pop, and I've never let go of that, and in my own head it is a Sideshow EP to Mighty Death Pop. It was released in the first 6 box set in 2014. So you had to get the first 6 box set to get this. I think it's absolutely great. It would become the last Mikey Clark produced album until Pug Ugly. And I think it's super slept on because of that. And I would probably slap it right in B tier at the very tip top, higher than higher than Eye of the Storm. I think it's got some really great songs on there. And it's just a really great album. If you've never listened to it, I would highly recommend going and checking it out. Now let's get into some more controversial rankings. This is where a lot of people really like to shit on the second set of Joker cards, and these albums fucking take it balls deep when it comes to that. The Marvelous Missing Link, and I think I can go Lost, Found, and Outtakes super easily and just throw them all up there very quickly. I will say that Lost is the weaker of the three. I'm going to put it in B tier, but I'm going to put it at the top. Again, this is where people are going to be like, what the fuck, DC? Yes, it is ranked higher than Carnival of Carnage, and I am pretty sure when I did my Joker card ranking years ago, it was higher than Carnival of Carnage as well. Lost was not as bad as most people make it out to be. It loses a ton of its steam after How, and maybe before How. Maybe it's after Falling Apart, which, you know, everything before that I think is great. They start to do something very weird with The Neighbors Are Fighting and what is it? I Keep My Hatchet. I think that's the name of it. They get to this weird, like, experimental thing where they want to repeat the chorus. I got the Louisville bad swing. I don't even remember the song. It's been a while since I've listened to Lost. You know, they repeat the chorus a little bit, and as time has gone on, that's become a little bit redundant. I feel like those two songs make me want to skip now. When it first came out, I listened to the shit out of it. You Should Know is not a really bad song at all. I think it's pretty good as well. It's kind of, you know, a little bit, the vocals for the chorus is a little bit high. There was one time I was listening to it at work and a coworker was in the break room with me. He's like, what are you listening to? Because it was You Should Know, which I think is a really powerful song. You know, he's confessing all of the things he's done wrong before they get married. It's a pretty deep, meaningful song to me. And Flamethrower on there, to me, I said it then, I'm going to say it now. When CPN did his review for The Marvelous Missing Link Lost, I said that Flamethrower was Chicken Huntin' 2014. And I still stand by that to this day. And maybe that's why people don't like it. Maybe they felt like it was too redundant to Chicken Huntin'. They talk about going down south and killing a bunch of racist people. So I thought it was really great. The Marvelous Missing Link Found. I will slap Found up here in the A tier. And I think I'm going to put it higher than the Tempest, lower than Bang Pow Boom. I think Found is absolutely wonderful. To me, when you look in the contrast of Lost and Found, Lost, they were experimenting with that sound. Found, they didn't. It was like they were lost, and that was kind of, to me, it was a contrast in the sound of like, okay, they're experimenting on this one. This one is ICP, which is kind of crazy because like it's a positive, uplifting one. I know a lot of those positive, uplifting songs turn people off, and I said it in my review for the album that I felt like most people that didn't like Found probably haven't found their missing link. Maybe they're lost, and that's why they don't like it. You know, at the time of that album coming out, I had my own place. Megs and I were together. We had a really good life together. And when I was listening to the song Found, it just one day hit me and I fucking burst into tears because like I was thinking about all the bad in my life prior to that. Specifically 2009 when I was like homeless. You know, Megs and I met in 2010. When I came back from Georgia, me and her met and started, you know, dating and everything like that. You know, so that to come out of that dark time and immediately meet her, and I was in this place of such a positive happiness, it just hit me like a fucking ton of bricks, and I just burst into tears one time listening to it. To me, Found is absolutely a beautiful album. I'm Sweet is kind of my unofficial theme song. I, to this day, have wanted to make like an instrumental of it to use as an intro. I just have never done it. I think it's a really good album. And I don't think it gets enough love. And maybe people don't have enough love in their heart to like it. You know, people like the wicked shit, and maybe they like the wicked shit for a reason. And I don't say that to talk shit. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to say that your life sucks and that's why you don't like Found. I'm just saying for me, I was in a place of positive happiness, and so that album has resonated with me. The Marvelous Missing Link Outtakes. I am honestly going to throw this also in the A tier. No, I'm going to throw it in the B tier, but I will throw it probably if this will stop doing what it's doing, it's like wigging out on me. I don't know that I would place it higher than Lost, just because, like I said, the first 7 tracks on Lost are actually really good, in my opinion. Fucking Vomit is absolutely great. Same sentiment with the outtakes. The first half of it, the Lost tracks that for whatever reason weren't put on Lost, are really fucking great. 6 Pedophiles, Joey the Butcher, The Dream, Why'd I Have to Die, The Monster, fucking... Is it The Monster? Is that the name of it? I think it's called The Monster. I don't know. Really great fucking songs. And I don't understand why they were taken off of Lost. If they would have been left on and we got the songs like The Neighbors Are Fighting, I'll Keep My Hatchet, maybe You Should Know, take that off, take I See the Devil, put all of that other shit from the outtakes onto Lost, and beautiful Joker card. But for whatever reason, the decision-making process, they took it off. And, Lost, I think the other thing that people don't like, especially now more than then, which from the get-go, people did not like Lost. There were so many people that said they hated it, and it's been that way since. But I feel like even more so from 2017 on, because Young Wicked is all over it. And I remember it was actually that moment that made me gain new appreciation for the Red Tales from Lotus Pod. Because everyone was like, the red version is the best. Well, by the time that I came and discovered ICP, by the time I learned about Dark Lotus in 2007, the only version I ever could hear was Gold, the one with ABK. So it's the only version I knew. So for me, it was kind of like, oh, this is the one I heard first. It's not that bad. So when I would go and listen to the red version with Mars, I was like, I kind of like ABK's a little better. It's what I was familiar with. And it made sense to me because... in 2017, like, if they decided their hatred for Young Wicked was so strong that they were going to go back and completely erase him from the Marvelous Missing Link, whatever revised version of that album they would put out, I would like less. It's not the one I would be familiar with. So that was a moment for me that was really kind of eye-opening to why so many people gave praise to the Red Tails. It's the one they heard first. It's the one that they were familiar with. But yeah, the Marvelous Missing Link, super underrated albums in my opinion. But, I have said, and as you can see, there's really not anything in the D tier besides Basement Cuts. And a lot of it's mainly because I just haven't listened to it. I'm sure if I listened to it and thought, this isn't bad for what they did, what they had to work with, it would probably end up in the bottom of the C tier, but, it'd probably make its way out of D tier. I literally don't have an ICP album to this day that I hate. So jumping into Phantom Extra Spooky Edition, This was a Sideshow EP to the Marvelous Missing Link, and it was only available for a short time in December of 2015. Those that went to the Wrestle Rap tour, which was a very small tour, I think it had possibly only 5 to 10 dates on it, was a charity tour that was JCW, but Violent J performed with Jumpsteady as his hype man. It was a super limited edition EP that at one point you could then get on Hatchet Gear. So it became a limited Sideshow EP. I wish they had made it more readily available, especially being a Sideshow EP. I think it's absolutely great. I don't know if I would rank it. I would put it in B tier, but I don't know. I feel like I would probably rank it maybe a little bit lower than House of Wax. Maybe a little bit higher than Eye of the Storm. Actually, I don't know. I think I might actually rank Eye of the Storm higher than Phantom. Again, great songs. Fucking Complicated World is wonderful. Oh, shit. I'm blanking on some of the names. It's been a goddamn minute since I've listened. Shit like Super Duper is really good. Murder Gone Wrong, shit. And at the time that the Extra Spooky Edition came out, there was already an album that was out called Phantom. It was released at The Gathering, I believe, in 2015. And it had the same 5 songs from the Extra Spooky Edition. But when the Extra Spooky Edition came out, it had 3 extra songs plus a remix. And I remember being at the Wrestle Rap show. They came very close to where I live. It was in... I believe it was in Kokomo, Indiana. Yeah, it was at Center Stage. God, that was a great venue. And I remember in between sets, they actually performed. They actually played some of the songs on like the PA, and "Murder Gone Wrong" was one of them. And I was like, "Yo, I like that song." And I remember I went and scooped up. I think I bought 2 copies of Phantom, and one of them was a giveaway that I did. Which, yeah, that's been a while. That's been a while ago. Hell Cellar, I would probably rank in the C tier, and I would probably put it clear down below Dog Beats. These were songs that Straight Jacket found in a folder simply titled Hell's Pit. And, you know, he's like, yo, I just found this. And they put out Hell Cellar at the 2018 Gathering of the Juggalos, Whoopstock. You could get the CD, and you could also get the vinyl that year. Well, you would pay for the vinyl, and you didn't get it until like March of the next year. But yeah, Hell Cellar I thought had some good songs. Some of the beats on there were familiar ones. One from an Axe Murder Boy song, and the other one, I think there's 2 of them on Hell Cellar that were from Jump Steady's Master of the Flying Guillotine. So, and then The Truth. I think The Truth was the Pass the Axe beat from Black Rain, Dark Lotus. So it really wasn't bad. It's just you can tell they were kind of outtakes, and I don't think there was any like, you know, smoothing touches done to it. So it's just kind of there. It's more or less. I feel like Hell Cellar doesn't need to exist. I feel like Hell Cellar could have just easily been slapped onto Forgotten Freshness Volume 6, and maybe that's what they should have done instead of actually just coming out with this whole album here. It was a weird move to me to do Hell Cellar, I guess. And the name Hell Cellar is kind of weird. So jumping into Fearless Fred Fury, this album, when it first dropped, there was a lot of hype around it. It had gotten delayed. This was the first this was the first Joker card that dropped since the beef with Twisted popped off. You know, and so there was a lot of like questioning how much dissing would there be, how much theming would there be to like the whole beef and everything like that. I would stick Fearless Fred Fury in the B tier, but I think that I would put it. I haven't listened to Fearless Fred Fury in a while, but I remember when it first came out, it was absolutely great. My only skips on there are Hothead. And, you know, to me, the final 2 songs just don't exist. I completely deleted them off of my iTunes. They just don't exist. I'm talking about Beware, where they warn of the last song being the darkest song they ever made. And then it's a fucking song about fucking Violent J portrays a character who is essentially a fucking pedophile. Because he addresses someone called Runaway, which is a teenaged girl. In most cases, is typically what a runaway is. It's just not my vibe at all. I've listened to I Like It Rough maybe 2-3 times, and it just does nothing for me. So I completely deleted those songs off of the album, and the album ends on Freedom where it should have, because they're just god awful to me. It's just god awful to me. I Like It Rough is. And because I took I Like It Rough off, I essentially had to take Beware off because it was setting up for a song that no longer existed to me. I would probably rank this, just because there's more songs that I like on here than on Lost. I would probably put it in the high B tier above Lost. Flip the Rat, I feel like I would probably stick it down here. Flip the Rat was essentially like, it kind of turned into the Outtakes album that they did for Marvelous Missing Link. A lot of it were songs that just didn't make the main album. They called it a companion album, and they released it alongside of Fearless Fred Fury. It was like you had to buy Fearless Fred Fury. You got a little card in it that would give you a link to go buy Flip the Rat. And it was like, it was a weird process when they could have just like done a bundle for the 2 together, or, you know, just not do it like that at all. The thing I will give people that kind of shit on the second set of Joker cards, they've been very weird. They've been very experimentally weird. I mean, all the way from Bang Pow Boom having 3 different versions, 3 different colors, with the second song being different and there being a different hidden track on each one. Mighty Death Pop coming in 3 different pop, white pop, red pop, and black pop, with a second album that you could get. Marvelous Missing Link having Lost, Found, and then an Outtakes, and then, you know, Fearless Fred Fury having this companion with him, Flip the Rat. So they've been very weird with the second set of Joker cards. But yeah, Flip the Rat, it's got some great songs on there, but oftentimes when I'm in the mood for Fearless Fred Fury, I just listen to Fearless Fred Fury, and I usually get my kind of fill of that era. You know, that was when they were starting to, you know, doing the whole reach their tippy toe and just kind of dip their tippy toe into like the trap style. Ouija Mac was signed at the time, and I think Violent J was super inspired to kind of dip into that sound. They were starting to use Devereaux beats, which really aren't bad. Fucking Game Over is a great fucking song with a fucking smorgasbord of classic game fucking sound bits in it. So it's absolutely great. And when you listen, I think, to Flip the Rat, just, I think that style of rapping, they were, especially Jay, was starting to experiment with a little bit. Like I said, just dipping the toe in. Just dipping the toe in there. Forgotten Freshness Volume 6 is, in my opinion, one of the worst Forgotten Freshnesses. It was locked behind a VIP at the time. You could only get it on the Fury Fest tour, which was the tour for Fearless Fred Fury in 2019. They did make it available at the Super Gathering, which is where I scored mine at. They were charging $40 fucking for it. And looking back on it, I probably still would have bought it just because. But it's kind of, honestly, easily the worst Forgotten Freshness. It is what it is. I mean, Forgotten Freshness is supposed to be the collection of rare and forgotten shit. That's the whole theme of it. But they put on there another version of Confessions. They had an alternate version to, I think it's The Neighbors Are Fighting, which told a little bit more of a story. I can see why they may have scrapped that one. It may have worked out better if they didn't. Maybe they just rework it a little bit and whatever. It's got like a demo version of Please Don't Hate Me, which isn't bad, but I way prefer the original, or the version that we ended up getting. So, I mean, I don't want to say it's like god awful, but like some of the scrap songs that are on there, it's like, oh, thank you for scrapping this. But it was fun listening to Violent J sing is it Dead Man Walkin'? Which was the Blaze song. The walk, walk, walk it out. So the story behind that is Gang Rags, which was Blaze's 2010 release, produced entirely by Mikey Clark, another underrated slept-on album, in my opinion. Violent J helped write a lot of it. I think this, if I'm thinking and speculating correctly, I feel like that was the first time Violent J got to work hand in hand with Blaze. I feel like Twisted usually kind of took that role with Blaze albums. Gang Rags was the first time that Jay got to sit down with Blaze and do that. He also did that with, I think that happened a lot with Boondocks as well, because South of Hell came out in 2010, produced entirely by Mikey Clark. Both underrated albums, and honestly, I've ranked South of Hell from Boondocks very low. But anyway, I'm on a tangent. Fucking Jay, he recorded a complete version of Dead Man Walking for Blaze to hear the cadence of how to essentially rap the song. So it's basically the exact same song. It's just Violent J, and it's a fun listen hearing Jay do it instead of Blaze. And actually, I would love to hear like a mashup where maybe the first verse is Blaze and the second verse is Jay or whatever. I think it would be fun to kind of switch it around like that. So, getting into more of the modern era of Joker cards, the marvelous missing link, Yum Yum's Lore, the album that really should never have existed, because they were supposed to put out Yum Yum Bedlam at Christmas in 2020. They missed that deadline. They were going to instead give us Lore. They missed that deadline even, and didn't even give us Lore until, I think it was March of 2021. It was whoever was subscribed to their Patreon back when they were doing their Patreon in 2020. I didn't end up getting it from that. Somebody ended up picking up from they did like a warehouse sale when they were getting rid of the Psychopathic headquarters. Somebody ended up picking up Lore from there and selling it on eBay, and I fucking scooped it up from them. I think I paid $40 for it. I think. Which, the way I justified it in my head is, in order to get Yum Yum's Lore, you would have to have paid $66.50 to be subscribed to their Patreon. So pretty much the album was worth that at least, because, that's what it took to actually get it. And Lore it's not as bad, I think, as people make it out to be, but I don't think it's definitely that great. I think, You know, I think they were struggling a little bit with trying to come up with a concept because, you know, loyalty kind of took you in this kind of direction. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say about lore. Lore, I would probably stick lore right here on the C tier. I would probably rank it lower than Carnival, higher than the Calm and some of their other earlier works. I really didn't think it was that bad at all. I actually really enjoyed it, and it actually got me excited for Bedlam to come. You know, I think it added a nice little piece of lore, Lore. You know, everyone kind of misspelled what lore this was, just because that it's an interesting word. The lure, Yum Yum lures you in with her lore. You know, to me, this was, you know, the silhouette. You kind of smell her and you can see her in the distance, and that's why it's the silver silhouette. I still say the cover should have been better. It is what it is, but I'm not mad at it. I think it's a solid piece to the Yum Yum era. And jumping into Yum Yum Bedlam, I would probably stick Yum Yum right there on the B tier. Yes, even higher than Lost. Actually, no, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. I don't think I would put it there. I would probably stick it right there just because the highest highs of Lost, the outtakes, House of Wax, and Eye of the Storm, I do think are better than Bedlam. Bedlam was them fully fucking, their foot is in the fucking water now and they're doing trap shit. You got Shaggy the Airhead beats on here. You got Devereaux beats on here. Again, their production's pretty fucking fire to me. But for whatever reason, that is the style that I think Jay wanted to experiment with. And he didn't do bad at it. But comparing it to the things that I like with Lost, the outtakes and all that, I do think that I like them better than I like Bedlam. I think Yum Yum Bedlam is a pretty solid Joker card. It's not the worst. And I know motherfuckers are fucking fuming right now that I ranked it higher than Carnival of Carnage. But I truly believe that they just did not have the idea in mind of what they wanted to do. And don't get me wrong, Carnival of Carnage is pretty great. And actually, would it make people feel better if I did this? If I put it at least into the B tier, because I do think Carnival of Carnage is pretty solid. I fully, wholeheartedly, comparing the two sound-wise, production-wise, and just rap-wise and skill-wise, Bedlam is better than Carnival of Carnage. You can't change my mind of that. I don't really have any nostalgia to Carnival of Carnage. I mean, I do. I mean, listening to Guts on the Ceiling and fucking Redneck Ho in early, I guess it would have been late 2003, right before we moved to New Zealand. We downloaded Carnival of Carnage so we could have the first 6 complete. And I finally got to listen to Carnival of Carnage. It just, you know, sound-wise, I do think Bedlam is better. I honestly do. And that's just my opinion on the matter. I do think sound-wise and production-wise, it is better. They were in full-fledged in their niche here. And then in Carnival of Carnage, they really weren't. They were transitioning from the gangster rap into the wicked shit that we know today. So I do think, yeah. Wicked Vic, I will probably stick Wicked Vic probably right here, below Bedlam, above Phantom, Flip the Rat, and all that. Pug Ugly, I would confidently... And a lot of this is because Pug is still fresh for me, whereas House of Wax and Eye of the Storm I've been listening to for a while. I would probably stick Pug right in there. I think Pug is pretty good. It was, you know, we had Mikey Clark on there. Scrub Gang is the shit. I love it. Whoa, I would probably stick Whoa. Woe was difficult for me because kind of like with Bing Pow Boom, my issues with Whoa aren't even the songs. A lot of it is just the cohesiveness to the rest of the Yum Yum Flower. They completely dropped the ball on his story, on his concept. You know, we didn't get anything of what he represents on the flower at all. So I've kind of had to stick to my own headcanon in that regard. So I would probably, because of that, I would probably stick Whoa in the bottom of the B tier. You know what? Yeah. No. I I don't fucking know. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to stick it in the C tier. I'm going to put it below Yum Yum's lore. Because at least with lore, we had some lore to kind of go off of. You know what I mean? Like, the lore of loyalty and, you know, yeah. Yeah. The fact that the Yum Yum flower is bewitching and don't fall for it because she'll fucking chomp your head off. Yeah, I would confidently put Woe there, I think. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm happy with it there. I am happy with it right there. So there you guys go. That is my ranking of every ICP album from best to worst. Don't hate me too much. I apologize if anything on this is not to your liking. This is my ranking though. And again, I will leave a link in the description for you to go do your own if you would like to. Down in the description, you can also find my social media links. I think I have a link tree in there, and you can find a link to my Discord server. If you want to go join my Discord server and fucking flame me in there for this awful ranking, feel very much obliged. Go make your tier list and go slap it into my Discord server and tag me in it and say, this is my fucking ranking and yours sucks donkey dick. Don't do all that. Don't be hateful. Don't be hateful, because I'm sure there are people in there that will jump to my defense and they don't need to. But I'm happy with this. Again, I feel like I'm a very gracious juggalo. ICP's just never really let me down. The ones that are in C tier, just to me, they're good songs, but they're just not great songs. So, yeah, yeah, there you guys go. Hell yeah! Again, go make your own tier list if you would like. Link is in the description. If you have not checked out the ranking that Roanbone had put out, which I think at this point most people will or already have, because fucking it's Roanbone and he has been gone for a long time, and it seems like he might be back. So I'm happy to see that, and I can't wait to see what other rankings he does. And yes, we will definitely be continuing this and be doing one for Twisted as well. So if you enjoyed this one, make sure you hit the like button. If you thought it was god awful, feel free to hit the dislike button. And again, leave comments telling me how awful it is. Head over to my Discord server and tell me how awful it is, and let's talk about it. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys next time.